Before this retreat, before we started, I'm talking about Khanti. You were already practicing Khanti. You're already practicing Khanti. When you were young, with slight physical discomfort, we change our posture straight away. So from our age, we look at the toddlers. We look at the children. They look very restless. They look restless. They look to have a short attention. That's because they haven't learned how to deal with physical discomfort. In the school, we have to pay attention to certain subject, to certain issue being discussed. If it happens to be about something about we are really interested, maybe painting, maybe arts, maybe sciences, maybe literature, maybe history, any subject we are more interested in, we pay more attention. We can pay more attention because by focusing on something that we like, the mind temporarily at least forgets about the physical discomfort. So the art of focus, the art of choosing an object to focus, okay, is part of human life. Is part of human life. At certain time, we choose to take bath. At certain time, we choose to do something. We choose to do certain things. So the art of focus is already there. What we didn't know before we took up formal meditation was the focus that we had in the early days. They were judgmental. When we started mindfulness meditation satipatthana, with pain, we are taught, okay, not to say it's bad. The absence of pain, we just observe the absence of pain. If we say the absence of pain is so good, this session is so good, you can see the mind becomes judgmental. It goes back to the old habit of being judgmental. Being judgmental. And a very judgmental mind, we come to learn, has social impact. With very judgmental mind, if we make judgmental comments, negative comments towards people, that would affect our social circle. We would lose friends. We wouldn't have as many friends. And we would have a quarrel even with our family members. So we start learning that negative comments, judgmental mind um, it is actually not very good for us. But that at the social level, when we do meditation, we learn about this at the psychological level. What I'm trying to say is that at each level, there is patience being developed. We become more patient. We become more patient. We learn about pain. We learn about biology. And we learn how to tough it out. Um, we experience disappointments. We go through them. And this is how we develop Khanti all the way. But Khanti with the Adhitthana, with the Adhitthana. So it lacks the main ingredient, Adhitthana. You can see um, the Buddha, okay, before he became enlightened, before he became Buddha, he was also developing patience um, step by step. In the Jataka, in the Chadok, Demiya Jataka, uh, as a crown prince, as 2 months after he was born, his father, okay, the king, ordered him, and at the same time, making court decision at the court, punishing people, punishing 4 people, 4 robbers. This one should have his body okay pierced with iron. This one with arrow. That sort of thing. Poor things. As a bodhisattva, he could sense it. He could sense the situation was very tense. He could sense something was wrong. So when he grew up, he decided that he wouldn't succeed his father in the Dhamma Jataka. So he decided not to speak. The whole palace thought he didn't know how to speak. He was born like that. So they tested him many, many ways. Sometimes they bring insects to bite him. Sometimes they put um, delicious food in front of him, snacks. Sometimes toys. And when he grew up, um, at, at about 14, 15, 16, in India, there was marriage age. So they brought a beautiful girl of his age. He didn't show any interest because he was afraid of succeeding his father. So the kind of Khanti he had to put up with, he had to develop. And ultimately, his father told I consulted with the ministers. The minister, the Abbot, uh, the astrologers, so they told the king, his father, this is inauspicious to have your son um, in the palace. So you better have him killed at the age of 16. So um, he was entrusted. No, he was given to the driver of the king, the chariot of the king, who was given the responsibility to kill. So, so the driver um, couldn't deny the order from the king, so he took the prince, 16 years old prince, with him. So only two of them to the forest. And he was digging a grave. The prince was standing on the ground. Now the prince knew he could liberate himself. And the prince asked the man digging, "What are you doing?" The man didn't look up. He thought somebody else was asking. Um, I have to kill. I have to kill the prince because he couldn't speak. Why you are going to do that? The prince asked him. Why you are going to do that? Are you not employed by his father? Yes, I am. That is why, okay, he asked me to do this. You are like a person who is resting under the shadow of a tree. And without gratitude, you are breaking the branches of that tree. That's the word being said by the prince there. When that was said, the driver was shocked. He looked up. He saw the prince speaking. Oh, you speak, you speak. He was overjoyed. He ran toward the palace. No, the prince, he spoke. I don't have to. We'd have to kill him. By that time, the prince, he went in the forest to become a monk. They all follow him. The father and the mother, they didn't want to kill him, but because of fear, the fear that the minister instilled in them, they gave the order. And this is the last 10 Chataka, one of the last 10 Dhamma Chataka. To cut the story short, the parents, the minister, they reach him. They invited him to come back to become king. No, I don't want to be. Why? The reason I don't want to be is because as a ruler, you are very cruel. The way you punish people, you will have to pay for this. As a result, the king changed his behavior. He became a righteous king. Now he changed his attitude. Prison is not about punishment. Prison is about correction. The word that people use in America, they don't use the word prison, they use correction, correction center to um, to correct people's attitude and behavior in the chat. And that driver was okay. Finally, he became Venerable Sariputta. Sariputta. What I'm trying to say is that in that story, I, I can see Khanti Parami. Other people might interpret it differently. Khanti, Khanti because he didn't want to do the business of running the country in that form, in the form that his father was using. That is a very through a very cruel method. And with his patience, he was able to change his father and the whole kingdom. He was able um, to bring a more compassionate system, justice system, through patience. That's a kind of, if you like, brand a patient in a very high quality patient, only for people with that kind of parami. But for us, okay, we we think we have more patience than the kids. We have more attention span than the kids until we start meditating. When we start meditating, okay, within 10 minutes we want to change many times. The first time we meditate, okay, 10 minutes we just so long. Now we don't realize that 10 minutes is quite comfortable. 30 minutes, quite comfortable. Many of you can sit 1 hour comfortably. You can see Khanti develops. You didn't realize, but Khanti develops. Khanti is like the elephant in the room, like the elephant in the room. It's not there, but it's there all the time. It's there all the time. Without Khanti, we can't have it. You make friends. You, you have time. You make time for each other. You listen to each other. You are there for each other. This is Khanti. But just the way we do mudita and karuna, we have to go beyond our friendship circle. Group 5, remember. Okay. If you dedicate your Khanti only to your friends and family, you're only up to number 3. Group 1, group 2, group 3, only that much. When it comes to group 4 and group 5, your Khanti becomes very thin, very thin. Life is full of contradiction. Um, we have a lot of expectation from our family, for our family also, our family members and our friends. And with the expectation unchecked, we can lose our Khanti very easily. So the people we most quarrel with, okay, they are our family members. They are our friends, not strangers. Okay. Mostly the enemy, we only quarrel with them once. Only once. And we decide ไม่คบอีกแล้ว we we decide not to stick with them. The people we decide to stick with, we quarrel again and again. We quarrel with them again and again. You see, between family members, between parents and children, you quarrel all the time. Between best friends, you quarrel all the time. This is because you reserve your Khanti only to group one, group two, group three. Group one, yourself. Group two, your close family member. Group three, your friends. Because you dedicate your Khanti only to these three groups. If you extend your Khanti, practicing your Khanti, developing your Khanti to group four, that is strangers. Group five, the people you don't like, your opponent, your enemies. Because there lies the real test. The real test is there. And that would change the whole dynamic, the whole perspective. If you have 10% of patience towards the strangers, Khanti for group one, group two, group three will increase many times. If you have Khanti towards the last group, group five, that is the people you don't like, your enemy. Khanti for group one, two, three, will get stronger automatically. So when we do mudita, if we can see interconnectedness, not just between group one, two, and three, but also group one and four, group one and five, group two and four, group two and five, like that. If we can see that, the quality of Khanti will become pervasive. So in practicing mudita, which we have done many times, sometimes for 2 days, 3 days at Rose Garden, sometime a little bit longer here. Looking back now, you will see that you were actually developing Khanti at the same time. At the same time. When we accept our limitation or shortcoming, and instead of losing Khanti, um, instead of you know, beating ourselves up, if we embrace ourselves, well, it's okay. It's okay to have some shortcoming. It's okay to have limitation. Uh, with that karuna, with that understanding, you will have more Khanti for yourself. You won't give up easy. Otherwise, you feel insecure, you feel inadequate, having to recognize those limitations in yourself. Then what about limitation in other people? It's the same. When we see limitation, when we see shortcoming in other people, we are at a crossroad. We can look at them with compassion, recognizing their shortcoming. We can expect more than what they can deliver, and creating pressure for those people and for ourselves. So here, with karuna, patience comes easily. Without karuna, you will see that you will lose your temper quite easily and very often. um, Yom Tip and Yom Pung, maybe also Yom Aruni, will remember I used the same limitation for one retreat in Oxford. Just limitation, the whole retreat, the whole retreat. And limitation are interpreted as dukkha. Limitation is dukkha. It's about coping or managing dukkha. So if Khanti becomes an attitude in daily life, um, we know in meditation we use aditana to support that, to support that. In daily life, I um, I like to emphasize that uh, we focus on dukkha, that is limitation, limitation. We want to do something. If we recognize our limitation, how do you feel? Sometimes we want to feel invincible. So if we have to recognize our limitation, that's against our expectation. We want to feel invincible. We want to believe that we can do everything, especially at a young age, that we can do everything. And with that ideal attitude, when we used to believe the sky is the limit, in other words, no limits. And we have to face with real life, we have to face with reality. We are made to confront ourselves. We are made to confront ourselves. We think we are confronting the world outside. Actually, we are confronting ourselves at the same time. At the same time. So we are forced to look at our attitude, to look at our emotion, to look at our thinking, or our philosophy of life, our habit. We are forced to reflect on those things. Of course, with meditation practice, we get some good instruments to do that reflection. Some people who don't have a good tool to reflect on this, some people they commit suicide. They're fed up with the world outside. Is it is the world outside? Is something wrong with the world outside? The world outside is going to be the way it is, with a lot of limitation, with a lot of shortcoming. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like this. For a millionaire, for a billionaire, for multi-billionaire, okay. It's going to be like this. So we come back to ask the question here. Then what do we need to be happy? You might remember I quote Matthew Ricard and his research in his book Happiness. Um, Three factors are important for happiness. About 15% depends on external factors, about job, about income, about social status, about education. So all external factors, they count for 15%, 15%, around 15% for our happiness. This conclusion comes from hundreds of thousands of research. Okay. And more than 70, 80 countries, in more than 70, 80 countries, at hundreds of universities doing research on happiness. So the conclusion is that, okay, about 15% depends on external factors. If you have a better social status, so you have about 15% advantage to be happy than those who don't have. Another 10 to 15% is about the gene, is our gene. Some people, they were born with pessimism. Some people, they were born with optimistic gene. And the brain, the neurons or wire like that. Is something that we inherit from the earlier generation. In India, people inherit from their parents diabetes because they eat a lot of sweet for many generations. So now it becomes genetic. In some family, parents have never learned how to appreciate their children. They never said anything to approve, to appreciate what their children do. Meaning, no um, positive thinking in the family. It doesn't matter, okay, if you get a first class degree, It doesn't matter if you earn um, a few $1 million a month. Nothing is good enough. Nothing can make you happy in that kind of family. So the third factor, about 60 to 65%, is left to um, what we call soft skill, such as mindfulness, attitude. It comes to this. I like to think that if we have Khanti, uh, whatever we have uh, will be worth more than um, we ever understand. Let's talk about mudita here. Um, Yom Tip arranges Tom Yam very often because whenever I come to Thailand, I make sure that I have Tom Yam before I go back. And people ask me um, if they take me to restaurant, but I think said no, Tom Yam is famous. I will be happy. You look at Tom Yam, you look at the ingredients. How many ingredients in there? Maybe 10 if you include salt, oil, um, you know, maybe about 10 including water. And they come from different places. They come from different places. If you have patience before you take your tom yum, you dedicate about 5 seconds to each of them, appreciating, okay, the hard work, the dedication that each farmer has. You don't know them by name, but you only know them by their product. If you recognize that, your tom yum is going to taste a lot more delicious than ever. In Sri Lanka, people eat dal toddler every day. You know, you may wonder how they can enjoy it. It's every day. Mm. And they seem to enjoy it. You know. I don't know about other things. One thing that I noticed that Sri Lankan people, they have more Khanti. Mm. More Khanti. The monks, ordinary people, um, they have more Khanti. They have more Khanti. So the test is, can you have the same dish for 2 days, for 3 days, for 4 days, for 5 days? And look at your mind, how okay, the one inside is demanding. Can you not change this? It's a crime to repeat this. To repeat this for 2 days or 3 days is a crime. So we only have Khanti for a dish, okay, for one meal. Meaning we have the ability to enjoy our foods just for one meal. We have to change. You may say that, oh, we Asian people, we Thai people, we like our rice, so we eat rice every meal. And when you go to Europe, you look for Thai restaurant because you miss rice. Um, you miss rice. And sometimes Thai people come to Oxford Temple. Rajan, where is Thai restaurant? We haven't had rice for 5 days. For 5 long days. But when you actually have rice in Thailand, you don't taste it. You don't taste it at all. You don't take time to just taste rice. It's just one of the ingredients. Mm. It's more of an identity, rather than the essential stable. So to develop Khanti, you will also see in many monasteries, when we eat in bowl, we put everything together. And we choose not to choose. We choose not to test patience. At the beginning, you can see the mind is done had making a lot of demand at every twist and turn, and and without meditation practice, it's very difficult to get over this. So there's eating meditation and dressing meditation, dressing up meditation. The first lesson that we have to learn as we come into um, monastic life. So before we eat, Patisankhayo Niso Pindapatang Padisewami. I eat this not for fun, not for joy, mm, not to boost social status, not to beautify myself, but I eat to keep this body healthy so that I can work, so that I can practice. We have to say this on daily basis. Otherwise, this tanha is very strong. Tanha for food. And one thing, when you come to meditation retreat, you wear yogi dress. It can be Burmese style like this. It can be white, Thai, Sri Lankan, Indian style like that. But you stick to that. When you stick to that, there is already patience. You're already developing patience. Because usually at home you don't do this. You choose colors. You go for different colors every day, sometimes 2, 3 colors a day. And now you stick to one color. Whatever the habit is demanding, you don't follow that. So there's already Khanti. Khanti in terms of adhitthana. Okay, during this retreat, I'm going to follow this dress code. Aditya. Sometimes there's a time for things. People say there's a time for everything. Even the Buddha had to wait. Um, this story is very famous in Thailand because you have one Buddha statue with the Buddha, a monkey, and elephant. The story in Kosambi where the monks quarrel, two groups of monks quarrel. Usually there is one Buddha statue, one Buddha root, one elephant and monkey in front of him. There's a story during the Buddha's time in the city of Kosambi. Kosambi. Two scholarly groups of monks. One specialized in Abhidhamma, one in Avinaya discipline. They disagree on one thing. And some of them talk behind other people's back. So the word spread. You insult our teacher. That sort of attitude. That sort of um, fractional minded attitude. The Buddha was there. The Buddha trying to reconcile them, trying to explain them. They wouldn't take it. So for 3 months, the Buddha went and lived alone in the forest. Only elephants and monkey were with him, taking care of him. He was with them. So he ate food with monkeys. Monkeys brought him. Elephants brought him. The monks part. After 3 months, because the people who kept asking where had the Buddha gone, or the Buddha had gone into the forest. The Buddha was about to observe the rains retreat Pansa in that city, but people couldn't find him. He was about to be here. He was supposed to be here. Why he is not here? Oh, he left us because, we had disagreement. We quarreled. When that happened, the people stopped coming, stopped talking to the monks. They realized their mistake. So after a month or so, they went to invite the Buddha again to come. The Buddha waited 3 months. After Pansa, he came back. He just told them one short stanza. Everybody became Arahant. Everybody became enlightened. Even monks, highly educated monks, learned monks, very concentrated monks, about to become enlightened in a few weeks' time. Such things could still happen. And the Buddha needed to have patience, to have Khanti. You see, Khanti. So people say patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. Um, it's a virtue in life. Here, if you use aditana, you can sit longer and longer. You will see that Khanti is the top virtue. Khanti parama, the whole titika. Sometimes during the sitting, the mind wanders. You want to stop it straight away. what happens if it doesn't stop, if the thinking doesn't stop. You want the mind to be like this and not to be like that. You see, in the another Lakkhana Sutta. So here, when we lose patience with ourselves, with our thinking mind, our overthinking mind, when we lose Khanti, actually is Atta. So when we just observe it, okay, let it happen. In Luang Por Sumedho's and in Luang Por Cha's word, and this is the way the mind has been conditioned. You just observe it, non-judgmentally observe. You don't interfere with it, you just observe. As a third person, as a spectator, as a spectator. And in the end, the thinking mind stops by itself. So we learn through that. If we try to stop it, sometimes it makes it worse. We have to use a lot more energy, artificial concentration, in order to stop that. But if we have some patience observing the wandering mind, okay, sometimes we can catch it, sometimes we can't. We get lost. There will be time we get lost in our thoughts. And there will be moments we get lost in our thoughts. If we accept the way the way it is, that's Khanti. That's Khanti. We trust in Luang Por Sumedho, we trust in awareness. We trust in awareness. Okay. Sometimes emotion keeps coming up. We don't want that. We feel very uncomfortable with our emotion. You want to stop it straight away. But instead of stopping, you end up suppressing it. So it gets stronger. Instead of doing that, if we just step back, we trust in awareness and we observe. Whatever happened within 1 hour, I'm going to sit. Within 1.5 hour, I'm going to sit. I'm going to do my best to observe the running mind, the wandering mind, the restless mind. If you have that Khanti, you're actually developing anatta because you let sankhara to be sankhara. The same with sleepiness. In the morning, you want to stop your sleepiness. You want to make yourself fresh and fully awake. If that doesn't happen, if you nod a little bit, um, you might feel bad. At that time, you should use Khanti to observe your reaction. All you can do is to do your best um, to have awareness and to be aware of the signs of sleepiness. Maybe the head is getting a little bit heavy, the breathing becoming shallow, um, the posture, maybe mainly the head, bending forward a little bit. There are signs of sleeping. All we can do is to learn from those signs. Instead of fighting with sleepiness, if we work with those signs, be patient, be patient. There will be time that will not, okay, but there is less tension. And at the end of the meditation session, you won't feel tired. And if you're fighting with your sleepiness, you will get very tired because the attitude is not right. The Buddha told Venerable Mokkallana, if you feel sleepy, um, you should use active reflection. So instead of focus on breathing it out, if you do mudita, maybe you won't fall asleep. If you do karuna, because that involves active focus. That's one thing. Another thing is to rub your ears, to rub your hand, your arms, like that, even your feet. Different meditation for the sleepy mind. But my main message is that when you feel sleepy, half awake, half asleep, you may have a good opportunity to develop Khanti. To develop Khanti. Instead of hating yourself for falling asleep. If you blame yourself, you will develop a habit of blaming, self-blame. Later, not just sleepiness. Sleepiness is very innocent. You will start blaming yourself for other things, and such habit is called tanha as well. You don't want that. You don't want sleepiness. It's vibhava tanha. You hate yourself for falling asleep. And at night, you want to fall asleep. You can't sleep. You get frustrated with yourself. You say, patient, patient, patient. At the Suvarnabhumi airport, before I came out, I was delayed by 2 or 3 people. One of them, he on the same flight, we didn't know each other. He caught up with me on the way, and are you so and so? I said yes, because my Dhamma talk is broadcast on television every day in Yangon, 2 television channels. So people know. And he wanted to talk to me. And he's the only son, and parents passed away during the COVID. He said he had to take about a dozen tablets at night, including 3 sleeping pills. I said, what happened? Oh, this uh, has been continuing for more than a decade. More than a decade. So I asked him uh, to go into a meditation, a strict meditation practice where you have a daytime, where you can master breathing. Any meditation session where people teach you good anapana technique. There's many of them. You can choose one of them. So that's one person. Another person, a young lady. She has her daughter in at an international school in Bangkok. She has a lot of emotional issue, and she listened to my talk. So she said, "Okay, she never met me in person. So she wanted to have some words with me." Second, the third person was an immigration officer, policeman, and he wanted to talk to me a little bit and have a photo with me. So I came out Yom Su and I said, okay, oh, you come out late. Yes. It could be longer than this. Um, a second policeman, he just finished his duty and he came to speak to me if I had anyone to take me to Bangkok. He was waiting. I said, oh, don't worry. What come to my mind is that person who has to take a lot of sleeping pill to sleep. Um, he doesn't have patience, so he takes sleeping pill. It becomes a habit. Uh, You can see worry, you can see anxiety when you can't sleep. It's about managing that anxiety as much as the sleep itself. And with patience, I feel he could have avoided that habit. So to conclude today, I'm, I have been trying to say that Khanti is like the elephant in the room. It's always there at home, at work, in school, when you travel, because you have to compromise all the time. You have to compromise. Whenever you have less Khanti, there is problem. If you have Khanti, if you have more Khanti, you enjoy more. It's an important ingredient in life. It's not a negative quality. And this quality of Khanti is supported by all forms of meditation. Karuna, Mudita, Vipassana, Samatha, meditation on the Buddha, Buddhanusati, Maranasati, Asubha, everything supports Khanti Parami. In Khanti, everything comes together. Okay, any question? Oh,
Today I set an intention to not to change my posture for 1 hour at 4 p.m. But after a while, I feel so much pain possibly around my right hips, and I feel like I try to focus and acknowledge. I try to remind myself that it's more like emotional reaction on this kind of anger. So I try to keep using uh, both Riya and Khanti to um, focus on it, but the pain was very fluctuated, and I feel hard to bear. Um, so at the time, when I start to focus on it, the pain would um, disappear only to return. So um, I feel the urge wasn't overwhelmed as before. So I proceed with Karuna, um, and the pain it didn't bother me anymore, and I can sit through the whole session. Um, it's this way. I'm not sure I did it right because it's like an escape from the pain.
At the moment, if you accomplish the set time of 1 hour, that should be celebrated. Mhm. The rest, okay, it, they have their own mechanism to correct it. Um, if there's tendency to escape, that the moment you spot that tendency will get weaker and weaker. So you don't really need to worry about that. But we don't get rid of that tendency straight away. There is a very strong energy in in the tendency to escape. Mm, and we have to be patient working with that. We have to work with that tendency. And partly is for survival instinct. Um, when there is no life and death threat, no life and death situation, and the mind goes into survival instinct. So the mind is working in the wrong mode, in the wrong mode. And we discover this. We discover it. You just have to now. First, you try to accomplish your adhitthana for 1 hour using Khanti. Another one is um, you try all sorts of means and ways that you know to cope with pain. To cope with pain. Um, Pain management is a process. It doesn't come uh, as a perfect package straight away. We develop it. At this moment, um, you use karuna and your perspective changes and the pain becomes bearable. This is to say the pain may not have changed, but the way you look at it changes, and the pain becomes bearable. So this is one thing that you can learn from today's experience. With the right attitude, pain is actually quite bearable. Quite bearable.
Thank you. Let's keep trying.
Yeah. The other day I was talking involuntary pain and voluntary pain. At the moment, you can't really say how much is involuntary, meaning natural pain. How much is voluntary? Voluntary pain means top-up pain, the pain that we don't know through ignorance, then we top it up. We make it worse. We just have to learn it ourselves.
Thank you. Ajahn, I just would like to know that based on your guidance that we should come back to look at our posture every 3 minutes. And you just taught us that, okay, to see the tension. And my question is that, okay, so when I come back to observe my face or my shoulder, I feel some tension. And I I I try to release the tension, but I feel that there is some micro change. So this is count as a move because based on our determination, we shouldn't move. So I'm not sure that if we do this, it's gonna breach the determination that I have.
This is a question widely discussed in the practice circle. When you see some tension, by that moment, there's already some slight change to the posture. So which posture you're going to stick to? The original one or the change one? And we choose the original one. So long you go back to the original posture, we consider it to be within the adhitthana. So the question that is to examine whether the posture has slightly changed, actually has slightly changed, or whether it's only perception. Is a perceived change or real change? That's where we have to examine. That is why we check it every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes when you check, if you think your head is a little bit slumping forwards, instead of straightening the head straight away, as I explained earlier, before we started sitting, you have to notice the posture and then the mind. If you get lost in your thought for a little while, it's likely that the slumping posture is true. So you should come back to the original one. But if you have been mindful throughout, you didn't get lost in your thought, it's likely the change is only a perceived change, not a real change. It's a little bit delicate. I'm sure you know you don't have to worry about this. It has its own mechanism to correct it, self-correction. Yeah.
You all has the same question as Ben, so I think you already. And Yom Ok, she just had a knee operation. She actually asked about pain, but you already answered also. But I read her question anyway. Okay. She said, in the operation, she really has pain and she has to use a lot of karuna and patience. So the first day that she listened to your talk about Khanti, she feel very pity, like situation. And the question she said, I feel like since I practice mudita and karuna a lot in daily life, since I learned from Tanajan, I feel my Khanti becomes more improved and become more automatic. But I didn't notice that until I hear from Thanajan in this retreat. And during the practice, I feel a little bit difficult to use Khanti with the pain. After I try to use Karuna to the body, I feel that my Khanti will come with fuzzy, and I feel very hard to go on. May Thanajan advise me how should I do?
Compassion, I usually say mindfulness-based compassion. That is karuna with satipatthana. So mindfulness is about acceptance. Karuna is also about acceptance. When the two are used together, the ability to accept is more obvious. I have mentioned this a few times, maybe more than 10, 20 times. When I had an ankle surgery, I was prescribed a painkiller 3 times a day. But I took only only one before bedtime at night. Morning and evening, morning and daytime, I didn't take it. Instead, what I did was to remind myself. The way I remind myself was a little bit, if you like, dramatic, creative. So I talked to my knee, my ankle. I said, I know you're in pain. You don't want to be in pain. I know you're in pain. I understand you. I allow you to be in pain. You're not here to torture me. I understand you. So you can be in pain, meaning accepting pain. So throughout the day, it was okay. From time to time, I also pain. I also pain. Observe breathing. Most of the time, I did mudita for the hospital, for the operation team, for the people who created many things in the operation theater. So I did mudita for them. Whenever I did mudita, I forgot the pain because I switched my attention to something else. And when I come back to the pain is quite bearable, sometimes no pain. Because it's the mind that is giving a name, is the name to this experience as pain. So with the word pain, it doesn't stop there. Then it's a painkiller. I was describing to Yom Tip earlier. Um, with a vocabulary each and each. It doesn't stop there. There comes another word associated with that, scratching. Scratching. You see? And each is sanya that we give it to this experience. And sankhara has to follow the scratching. So straight away, if you observe the labeling mind, oh, the mind remember this as pain. is the work of the mind, not so much the work of the body. The body is healing itself. The body is healing itself. But the mind, sometimes it doesn't heal because of this sanya. So my advice to Yom Obun is to take this opportunity to be with pain, to welcome the pain, uh, to take painkiller to the minimum, to the minimum, and to work with pain, to work with pain, to allow the pain to be there. Medically, if pain is there, it means it's healing. It's healing.